manifesting.
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
Good morning. Welcome to the nutrition edition of Conversation with Trent and Friends, featuring the lovely Catherine Ghetto, the nutritionist coach from France. Good morning from the States. Good afternoon to France. Good stuff. We'll be talking about plant-based and vegan diets. 101, all you need to know. Let's bring Catherine in so we can get this thing started. One sec. Good morning. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, good morning, and good afternoon to those who are listening from this hemisphere.
Good stuff. Before we get started here, let me thank Germany. Let me thank East Africa and the entire UK. I've actually joined Apple Podcasts, so good stuff.
Thank you. That's
Good
beautiful. That's
stuff.
awesome. Hey, East Africa.
East Africa. So those guys
Yeah,
subscribed, and I was actually quite surprised. There's a few of them there. I was like, wow, look at that.
that is my background. East Africa. Kenya is in East Africa.
Is that right? Yeah, that's right. It is.
Yeah,
It is.
these are my people.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So they did
Thank
subscribe.
you.
Maybe 20 folks in total.
That's
Subscribe to
beautiful.
the
That's
channel on
awesome.
Apple. Yeah. So that's good, man. Real
Thank
good.
you.
The
Thank you
UK.
for anyone who is joining it. Thank you from wherever you're joining in. Thank you for being there.
Good stuff. Catherine is the expert. I'm just the guy pushing the knobs here. I work for Catherine.
It's amazing. You
Good
work for
stuff, man.
Catherine.
Good
Okay.
stuff. So, plant-based and vegan diets 101. All
Yeah.
we need to
We
know. What you got for us?
maybe not all we need to know, but we can say the essential information that we need to know, especially when you're starting in and you're not aware. There is too much of like going plant-based. There's a lot of people who are talking about, even in the shops you can see today we have a lot of vegan products, right? Like it's something that is really promoted. And so if you're going that route, how do you know whether you're getting the nutrients that are required? We can say there are a lot of people going to tell you, okay,
You know,
you have all the foods, the nutrients you need from the plants.
right.
Maybe.
I dabble with it sometimes. I go back and forth. I have a friend of
Okay.
mine who makes me this lentil soup.
Mhm.
It's so good. I love it. And she's actually a vegan. So, when she cooks me something and bring it over,
Mhm.
normally it's vegan. So I
Okay.
dabble with it back and forth and whatnot. But I have a confession though. But when
But
I eat,
when you say you go in for it's not because you eat one meal without meat that you say, okay, today I was vegan.
you know what I mean? But I when I dabble like when I'm my normal diet it's
Okay.
almost like not almost, it's a Mediterranean diet. So
Okay.
it's
Which is cool.
Mediterranean diet, but I do love vegan food. I do love
Sorry.
vegan food.
Okay.
But honestly when I dabble in fish and sometimes chicken,
Hmm.
I feel a little lighter when I'm messing around with the vegan food. I feel much better when I'm messing around with the vegan food, to be honest with
It's funny the way you're saying as if vegan foods are special foods that they are not found in the. It's just the absence of animal food. There's nothing special about it.
you. Well, here in the States,
Rema-
especially in New Orleans,
Yeah.
um, like I said before on our previous podcast, we terrible eaters over here. and I've
Okay.
actually completely changed my diet from that eating. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. We kicking?
yeah. Go ahead. I'm fine. You're
Okay,
the boss.
fine. To
You're the
to to
boss.
ask you to okay, let me ask you, for example, what
Go
are
ahead.
you expecting to learn?
I want to know the benefits of eating plant based,
Okay.
completely plant based, and I'm more interested in texture of the skin and everything coming back to its natural state, not all the blemishes and all that stuff. What plant based foods are best for that, for your skin, your digestive systems, and what have you?
Okay. So as we are talking, when you talk vegan diet, we are talking about people who exclusively eat plants. So
Okay.
it's not just vegan, it's everyone. Okay, let me say, um, what is the difference between vegan and plant-based or vegetarian, for example? Okay,
Mhm.
we start there. Okay, vegan, actually, vegan didn't exist before 1944. I can't believe that. Actually, vegan comes from vegetarian. You take the first three letters, veg, and the last two letters, un, and you make vegan.
Right.
So it was coined in 1944, and these are the group of people who exclusively don't use any animals products, be it for eating or for clothing. So
Uh-huh.
they don't wear um, leather shoes, leather bags, leather. I mean, they don't carry leather bags or use. They don't use any product that is derived from animals.
Gotcha.
Okay. However, vegetarian has existed since long time ago. And so when I'm going to say vegetarian, I might put plant-based there. There's some plant-based who are also don't call themselves vegan because they can use clothes or maybe accessories that are made from animals, okay,
Mhm.
like woolen sweaters and all that,
Right.
where they are still eating plant foods. Okay, so we distinguish plant based from those from who are vegan. Vegan are like strictly they avoid
Strictly meat,
any
avoid meat at all costs.
mean meat or anything that has been produced using animal. So,
Gotcha.
for example, they're not going to accept medication that has been tested through animals.
Ah, okay.
Okay, yeah,
So
they are really.
that's a vegan
It's
vegan. I got
it's a really vegan. A strict vegan is really it's an ethic thing. It's really like thinking or taking animal like my part of it. Like it's like your
you.
pet, right? There's nothing you want wrong with your pet, right? So you wouldn't like to see people eating dogs since you have a dog, right?
Right.
Yeah. So they're really like we are for the animals. So we say like the vegetarianism starting long time ago when some people really got conscious of the way people were treating animals. It's not something recent. It's like yeah, there is that self consciousness. Like they are also souls. They have their own emotions. They feel things, and so the way maybe people came up by eating meat and they were butchering meat like the way we are today. We're eating meat all the time, so we don't consider how much it has taken that animal to grow up, right?
Right.
So vegetarianism has been there since long ancient times, right?
Gotcha.
So these are people who would eat animal products like dairy, they would take eggs, okay? But they
Mhm.
will not necessarily eat meat, like monks, okay?
Gotcha.
Yogis,
So no very, no not no no. I'm sorry.
no
No
meat,
dairy. No
no
dairy.
meat, no meat, but they can take milk and they can take eggs, okay?
Okay.
They, they can eat cheese, but they don't want to eat meat. That's where the vegetarian goes.
Okay.
They can't. They don't take plant. They don't take animal, but they can take the products of animal.
So they could take the dairy products?
Yeah, I'm talking about a vegetarian, not a vegan.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Think, yeah. So I hope the clarification is clear, right?
We're clear.
Vegan are strict, vegetarian, they take some products.
Gotcha.
And so plant-based, they're in between. There are some plant-based eaters who can eat meat, who can eat eggs. I'm there, for example. I can eat meat, but I am like 90% plant-based. But sometimes here and there, I eat a yogurt, for example. I like taking yogurts. And yeah, so there are some people who are plant-based, but they are not going to eat animals or eat products made from animals, just like vegan, but they don't consider them as vegan
Gotcha.
because they can wear woolen things, cashmere, soy, not soy, what do you call this thing? La soie, silk, because silk
Gotcha.
comes from the worm. So you see, the vegan will not do that, but the plant-based can do that. Okay.
So is it safe to say I could actually tell my friend, you know what, you're not vegan because you're eating fish.
She eats fish? No, she's not vegan. She's
So she's
vegetarian.
not. So she's vegetarian, not vegan.
She's
Got it.
yeah, not vegan. She's vegetarian. Okay. So is there any culture in our history that really survived without meat? Totally meat we are not aware of, apart from now the vegan that was created back in 1944. But in Maya society population, the common people didn't eat meat, but the people who are in the higher classes had access to meat. Okay.
Gotcha.
It's just like if you look back here in French revolutions, there is the kings who are having everything, the paysans, the farmers, they would cultivate and put everything to the monarchy, and so them they will not feed much better as the other people up there, the normal that would eat, right?
Right.
So the Maya populations, most of the people, the common people, didn't have access to meat. Ethiopians, they have thrived. Some Ethiopians who lived in the highlands, they thrived in lentils, teff, and grains with minimum meat intake. We talk about monks. These are Buddhist and Indian yogis. Spiritually, they are more vegan, but they can, especially monks, since they don't work, they just depend on what they're given. So sometimes, for example, in time of drought, where there is no enough food, they can eat what they're given. Okay, even if it's meat. Okay.
Gotcha.
So but how did these cultures survive? It is also they also used some techniques that helped them to have these more nutrients like fermentation, soaking, and grinding. For example, we know that it's not easy to eat wheat, for example, or what do you call oats, grains they had. And so that's how we invented wheat. By grinding it, you get more accessibility to the food than when you're just supposed to boil the wheat and you eat the wheat grain. It's very tough to eat. So that's how people got to have more nutrients from the plants, and using diversity of plants, not just using one plant. Okay.
Gotcha. I heard you mention Ethiopia. You mentioned a certain part of Ethiopia. Can you actually expand on that?
Ethiopia.
Yeah, you said Ethiopia, but you mentioned an area of Ethiopia.
I think it's more in the mountains.
Okay,
Yeah. Do
gotcha.
you have any question?
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Okay. So we're going to dive in the key nutrients that you should be concerned if you get to vegan diet or you go to pure plant-based diet. And this is much crucial for people, especially for me, because it's not something that I was so aware of when I started. When you go to the raw food, okay, so these are key nutrients that you really need to know. They are not mostly talked about. I know the most question that comes is where you're going to get your protein from. And protein comes from plants. Every plant has proteins. Okay. The only thing is they have minimal protein, especially you can't rely on fruits, for example, to get protein from. But every plant has its own amino acids. Now we have 20 amino acids in the that are not required, but normally we have 20 amino acids, and we have 9 essential amino acids. Essential means that you must get them from your food because they're essential for your body, but your body can't make them. So whenever you hear essential, that means you need it, but your body can't make it. Okay. So we have 9 essential amino acids that our body don't make, and these are complete in an animal. Okay. Why? Because the animal has already made its own amino acids from the food. And there is one thing I want people to know, because I also had fallen into that before I remembered that I grew up in the savannah. You hear people telling you, look, the animals that we eat, what do they eat?
Grass.
So if you want, they eat grass, right?
Yeah.
But that's not true. So much so, if it's being raised, it's pastured. Why? When you go outside in your background, do you see every insect that is in there?
No, no.
So the animals eat a lot of insects.
I never thought about that, but that makes so much sense.
People don't. There was about maybe last year. I was there. I was like, I used to be the girl who used to take the livestock into the pasture field.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be there. You're seeing snakes, you're seeing frogs, you're seeing lizards, you're seeing the animal doesn't care about that. I'm not saying they're eating snakes,
He's just
but
trying to get to the grass.
they eat worms, they eat insects that are in the grass. So they are not herbivores as we say per se. They are majority eating herbs, but those herbs have a lot of insects.
Right.
The same thing for the giraffes when they're picking things from the leaves from the trees. You think about the monkeys, you think about everything that is eating plants. That plant has some other small animals that they're eating there.
Right.
So I was like, actually, there is no one who is really 100% vegan.
I get it.
Right? You get it. And actually, we can go to the extent where when we're apart from today's world where we have these fertilizers, not fertilizers, the herbicides, that we call them pesticides
Pesticide.
that are killing all the insects from the plant, the grains.
That's right.
Before that, I grew up in the farm, and even when you're opening your mouth like that, have you ever walked outside and you get some insects coming into your eye? What about
Mm-hmm.
when you're opening your mouth, you're having those insects coming inside? Let's
Right.
go back to the plants. The grains, for example, when they're harvested by the machine, right? The machine is not removing the insects that are there. Then you can tell me, okay, they have been cleaned and all that. That doesn't mean there are no insects that still remain. So to say maybe today you have that minimal protein come from those small insects and worms because of the way they are sprayed with they're killed with the sprays and all that, like
Right.
pesticides and herbicides and all that. Herbicides is for killing herbs, the pesticide and insecticides. But anyway, to go to say, I'm going back to say, when we say you don't have to worry about your protein because the animals that people eat, they rely on the grass. No, they don't just rely on the grass. If we look at it very carefully, they're eating grass that has insects and other worms and all that kind of stuff. Now, maybe those who are in the greenhouses could be a different case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why we talk again about eating pastured animals. Okay.
Gotcha.
So the
When I was gardening, not to cut you off, I apologize.
yeah,
When I was gardening, I didn't use the regular pesticide from the stores. I
the
actually did
Roundup.
some research on it. Yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't do all that. I
Yeah.
actually did some
And you
research
should
on it.
not.
I started making my own, you know,
Okay.
treatment for the plants and all that stuff. Worked out pretty
Oh,
good. I used fish oil and everything to
okay.
keep it growing naturally. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that
That's awesome.
pesticide is not good at all.
That yeah, it's not good to spray. Yeah, there is anyway. That's a lot of other stories. It's a it's
Yeah,
another story for another day. So we have 9 amino acids, and in the animal they're intact because the animal has made that. That's why the lion eats the animals because it doesn't have to care where it is going to get it. It gets the animal that it eats that. So when we eat meat, we get those 9 amino acids. Now, when we don't eat meat, we have to rely on the plants. And as I say, some plants in plants, we have um, soy, quinoa, chia seeds, buckwheat. I can't remember the other one, which one? They have all 9 amino acids,
mm,
but there are two main amino acids, and that is methionine and lysine. That even these plants they have 9 amino acids, they might have methionine that is low and lysine that is also low. So that's why, for example, a lot of vegan people know that they are told you combine the grains and the beans because the grains have high methionine and the legumes have high lysine. Okay, so combining the two, you make full complete protein.
gotcha.
The problem comes from people who might avoid, like me. I don't avoid, but I react to grains and legumes. So when either if you remove the grains, you're going to have problem with methionine. Okay. If you remove legumes, that are beans, peas, lentils, and all that, you're going to have an issue with lysine. Okay, we're going to go down, and you see that methionine is really important because it plays a role in major body activities. So you need methionine. Okay,
Gotcha.
okay, that was protein, and the next one is vitamin B12. Okay, B12, it's not found in plants. You only find it in animals. So, or maybe the seaweeds, okay, the algae. So you need to supplement yourself with vitamin B12. That one, there is no debating. So people who can't, who would like to go on a plant-based or a vegan diet, and they don't have places where they can supplement these, they don't know where to get them, that will be a problem to them. Okay.
Mm,
Um, the vitamin B12, it's used for DNA, to make DNA. It's also important for neural generations and also production of red blood cells. Okay. So if you don't have enough B12, you might have anemia. Anemia is not only caused by lack of iron. You might have anemia. Might have decline in your mental faculty, okay,
mhm.
or nerve damage. The best form, there are several different forms of B12. The best is the one that is called methylcobalamin. Okay, it's methyl because it's already in the body. The body can make a little bit of it, but it's not enough for us. And so, if you take this type of vitamin B12, it's going to be absorbed. It's bioavailable, so it's going to go directly into the bloodstream.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
And it also
Question
can
for you.
cross. Sorry?
So, quick question for you. So, as far as vegans, right?
Yeah.
Strictly vegans,
Mm.
that would be a serious problem if they really don't do anything as far as
B12.
B12.
Yeah. Strictly vegan. And I'm talking about vegan in this context, we're talking about anyone who is always and only depending on plants.
Gotcha.
If you don't supplement yourself with B12, you'll have issues. Maybe not, those who are getting in might not have the issues because if you've been eating meat and all that, but if you have been long in this diet and you feel sometimes tired, you're having difficulties in concentrating yourself, sometimes it can also be migraines, get to supplement yourself.
Right.
The other key nutrient is creatine. It's not really an essential amino acid. It's an essential for creating energy. Okay. It can be found in some plants, but this nutrient it's essential for people who are doing physical exercises. So if you're vegan and you don't do much, let me know, or plant-based, if you don't do much with your, you're not using much energy, this is not really going to be problematic because the body can make a little bit of it and you can be okay. The only thing is, no, it's not that. Creatine is not the same as the other one I'm going to talk about. Creatine is found exclusively from the animals. Sorry. So you need to supplement with that. Okay. Especially if you're doing exercises.
Right.
The other thing is omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, so these are long chain fatty acids. I don't know, it's the last time I talked about saturated fats, and I was talking about the hydrogen that are packed, and then you have the unsaturated fats, and here you have omega-3 fatty acids. This
Right.
is DHA and EPA that are really essential for the brain function. You can get this from vegan diet, not directly. The plants have um, a precursor of omega-3s. That means if you're eating, for example, chia seeds, walnuts, flax seeds is one of the highest food that has the precursor. It's called ALA, which is alpha linolenic acid. This ALA, when it goes into your body, it's going to be converted into DHA. And then DHA is going to be converted into EPA. The problem is the conversion is very low. Okay. So you convert, but you have very low conversion. Second, for people who might be having health issues and you need these omega acids because omega-3 fatty acids, they are very essential. They are anti-inflammatory. So if you don't have any healthy issue, you can still have your omega-3 through the plants. But here again is the problem. I also mentioned that last time in a podcast. If you eat a lot of nuts, for example, nuts have high omega-6, and omega-6 and omega-3 they compete.
Right.
So if you have too much omega-3 6 that are coming, you're not going to convert your omega-3, the ALA, into DHA. So you have to be very careful in a vegan diet. If you don't want to supplement, you be careful to reduce the omega-6. So that would be avoiding a lot of oils, for example, because a lot of oils are high in omega-6. Avoid eating a lot of nuts, but you need those nuts because they are compensating in other things, like giving you more proteins. So that would be where it's up to the person who wants, but you can, there is, if you can't have fish oil, if you're really pure vegan, strict vegan, There is algae, the marine plants that they make the omega-3 from. Okay,
Gotcha.
we are
When you
together.
said, yeah, when you said 101, you really meant 101. Very
Okay,
informative.
there.
Very informative.
Okay, the other one is iron. Iron is essential for transporting oxygen in our body. And why is it problematic with iron? Iron comes into two different types. So we have Heme and non-Heme. Non-Heme is the one that is plants. Heme comes from the animals. So when you eat your meat, you get the Heme directly. When you're having your Heme, I mean your iron is coming from plants. The problem with it is the anti-nutrients from the food that are going to inhibit the absorption of iron. So you're eating, for example, lentils, they're high in iron, for example,
Mhm.
but they have phytic acids, which means that they have anti-nutrients that are going to capture that iron, and you can't absorb the iron from the food. The best thing you can do is one, soak the lentils or everything that you're eating that has grain, lentils, I mean legumes. You soak them, you cook them, reduces the phytic acids. I mean the anti-nutrients. And then in every time you have high meal that has iron in it, you add lemon or something that has vitamin C. The
Right.
vitamin C helps to convert to help the absorption of iron. Okay. So being very careful, be careful when you're having, especially for women, because there are tendencies of not having enough iron.
Right. And I normally
Okay.
when I'm having my lentil soup, I
Mm.
normally lace it with lime.
Yeah. That's the way you're going to absorb the iron. Then
Yeah.
you have the other one is the zinc. Zinc, it's also the same thing like the iron. It's also going to be prevented. I mean, it's going to be inhibited by by the phytics. So you need to be very careful by soaking, sprouting, and fermenting vegetables. The grains can help you have that phytic being reduced, but the problem also comes when you take zinc and iron at the same time. They both compete.
Right.
So you have to be very, but once again, the vitamin C nullifies that competition. Okay. So not vitamin, zinc, you don't need a lot of zinc like you need a lot of iron, but it is very essential for, especially for wound healing and for immunosupport. So you need that, and especially once again, if you're exclusively on plant and also you're avoiding nuts and legumes and all that, it's better to supplement. Like I do supplement with those because I
Hmm.
don't eat legumes and lentils. I mean grains. Sorry. The other one is vitamin D. I think I have talked a lot about vitamin D here. And here we're talking about vitamin D3, which is really the one that is bioavailable for the body. So when we are vegan and the only food that you can get from the only foods that can supply you with vitamin D are mushrooms, but those mushrooms must be exposed to UV. So if you're just getting mushrooms, they were just grown under the cave, they don't have vitamin D that you can rely on. So it's
Right.
very essential to supplement with the vitamin D3. D3 mostly is the best, okay? Because if you get just vitamin D or you get vitamin D2, for example, I see here we get soy yogurts that are fortified with D2, but D2 has to be converted to D3. Okay. And some of these supplements like D3 and B12, take them in liquid form because it's going to be much easier to absorb them.
Gotcha.
Okay, the other one is choline. Choline, it's not talked much about, and choline is very high in eggs. For those who like eggs, um, it's used. It's a nutrient that is involved in neurotransmitters and also brain function, and also for metabolizing lipid, that is fat. The body makes a little bit of choline, but it's not sufficient. So you need to find a way how to get it into your diet. For those who are vegan and plant-based, wheat germ is the best source. Okay. Soy comes second. You have quinoa, broccoli, and Brussels sprout, which are the amount reduces as you go, but wheat germ is the one that has the best amount per 100 grams. But then you can't eat all that. So I would think soy is much better. A lot of people
Mhm.
avoid soy, so you go back to quinoa. They're not everyone who is eating quinoa. So it's no way going and educate yourself which foods you can really eat to have that choline deficiency. Choline is choline, can decrease during exercises. So if you're doing sport or you're doing lifting weights and all that, even if your body makes that choline, you'll have to supplement yourself because it's going to be reduced. What is there? It is required. Choline, for your body to make choline, you need B2, B6, B9, B12, magnesium, methionine, I talked a little earlier, and zinc. So even if you have food that are giving choline and you don't have these nutrients, your body is not going to synthesize the choline that you need. Okay.
Gotcha, 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 gotcha.
The other one is taurine. We're just talking about leans here. Taurine, it's really not amino acid. It's a sulfur-containing amino acid compound, and it is highly concentrated in the brain, the eyes, heart, and muscles. And it can be found exclusively on animals. But the body can synthesize, it can produce itself some from the methionine and another amino acid that is called cysteine. So you talked about methionine again. These things, these nutrients, you need them to have this taurine. To convert that methionine and cysteine, you require B6, zinc, and iron. So if you fall short in these nutrients, you're not going to convert the methionine cysteine to taurine. Okay. I don't know whether
Gotcha.
I'm sounding so complicated.
Nah, it's a lot of information, but listening to you go through the differences in the between vegan and plant based and whatnot, it takes a ton to go
Yeah,
vegan.
it takes, yeah, it's not something you just jump into it and you say, voila, I'm eating
Yeah,
plant-based. You really have to be very careful. I'm going to talk about carnitine. It's also this one helps to burn fat and create an energy, and it's actually called L-carnitine. Okay, only found in animals, especially in red meat. And your body can make it from lysine and methionine, but you need vitamin C, iron, B3, and B6. However, the conversion can be also slowed by genetics, age, stress, or if you don't have these nutrients that I just said,
right.
vitamin C, iron, B3, and B6. So actually what comes to most of the why we are missing this, why sometimes people would go to vegan or plant-based and they feel they're not feeling okay. It's because the conversion of these nutrients, it's not obvious to everyone. Okay, some might do it well, some might not do it well, might fail to convert these nutrients that are necessary. The other one that I didn't know till last year was iodine. I thought there was iodine in the salt. I thought that iodine was in the plants that we're eating, and I had to supplement my family with it. Iodine is a trace mineral, and actually, it's the one that supports the thyroid. So,
Mm.
if someone has a thyroid dysfunction, first check with iodine. Normally, it's supposed to be found in the soil, but since there is, especially those who are in the sea and in coastal lines, okay, because
Mhm.
it comes from the sea. And so the far you go from the sea, the less iodine you get in the soil. Okay, the plant doesn't need the soil, doesn't need iodine, but it can absorb it. So whether the animals you have or the plants you're eating, they are from places where they don't have, the soil doesn't have iodine, and the animals are not given the iodine, then your diet is low of this iodine.
So what would you
Okay,
recommend they supplement with if they
the
can't?
iodine, the iodine itself.
Okay,
Okay,
gotcha.
most places, like I'm thinking America, you can have that, your salt might be fortified with iodine, but I don't think that every country is. I haven't found that in France, for example.
Hmm.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so and actually, it made me remember that when I was when I was a small kid, we used to give salt, a kind of sauce, some salt to the animals as well. So the
Really?
animals, yeah, we used to. They used to say, for example, if you hang your clothes in the up country, we hang clothes outside, and if you see
Hmm.
the animals eating papers or like eating clothes, that means they are missing that mineral. And
Huh.
so it was necessary to supplement that.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really it's interesting, for sure. Okay. Some foods, for example, cassava, soy, cruciferous vegetables like cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower can contain compounds that are going to interfere with iodine. So you be careful, like when you're eating these vegetables, if you're raw or you're eating, yeah, plants, a lot of uh, broccolis, cauliflowers, soy, cassava, and all that, you be very careful. You have to really supplement yourself with iodine. The other one is vitamin K2. It's also found in animal products. So it's really essential to supplement. Okay, it can also be found in natto. Natto, it's a fermented Japanese beans, so it's not accessible to everyone. Otherwise, supplement yourself with vitamin K2. You can have vitamin K1 from the vegetables, but the conversion again is too low. Any questions so far?
No, everything's good. Everything's good.
I am done. And so I'm saying
Yeah.
here, if yeah,
That's a
I'm
lot of
done.
information. Man. That's a ton. That's a ton of information. And I think
You think
vegan.
twice.
That's a ton of work. That's a ton of work. Ton of work.
Yeah, it's not something that you just say, tomorrow I'm going vegan.
Right. Right.
And I'm sorry because somehow I became annoyed because I didn't know all this. And I was like, why don't people talk about these things? You
Right.
just hear, yeah, you went to vegan, and other people are like, like I saw there was a lady that I used when I started doing my blogging. There was a lady I used to follow because she was a blogger and she was very known as a blogger, and she was vegan.
Mhm.
And to a certain point, she stopped being vegan, and people were so annoyed with her.
Why?
And there is also a doctor, Dr. Heyman. he's known, Heyman, I think he's from Cleveland hospital clinic like that. Heyman also went vegan at a certain point, and then he came back to normal eating food. Because okay, why? Because when people start following you, they might follow you because of your ethics. Okay,
Right.
like they're following like especially vegan. I wouldn't say plant-based, but vegan, it's like a dogma.
I
I'm
got
sorry
you.
to say that.
I
And
get
so
it.
sometimes when people get out of it, it's like, why are you living? This food is, we are thriving here. But you should make your own decisions, which kind of food you want to eat, which kind of diet you want to eat.
Right.
Don't follow other people. We are not all made to we don't have the same backgrounds or the same genes. Okay.
Yeah, genetics,
Uh,
correct. Yeah.
yeah, so you need to be very careful and feel free as well to say, okay, I tried it, it didn't work for me. Let me go back to having this kind of, I mean, going
Exactly.
back to the normal diet.
Especially here in the States, man, they ride waves. And what I mean by riding waves,
Yeah,
whatever's popular at the time, they'll go
yeah,
with it, not knowing that that's detrimental to them. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Me, for example, I am facing this dilemma because my daughter doesn't eat meat at all.
Right.
Like I think I said here the last, maybe not last, but in a previous episode, that
Yeah.
when she was young, she used to vomit when she used to see meat. Up to today, she can stand eating people eating meat, but she'll not like, she's not there. She's not a good companion. She's not camping with you if you're eating meat. Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I have to be very careful what she's eating. I have to supplement her, and so I have to supplement myself because I also had to support her somehow. Like we wouldn't just go eating some kind of food and she's not eating, and she would go crying or she'll go hiding herself in the bedroom. So this is something that me I'm experiencing as a parent, and also I experience it as a human who is having issues with eating grains, for example, and legumes. These are the ones that are going to give you more of this amino acid that we talked about. So I have to be very careful. Where can I get that methionine from the plants? Okay. So if it's not enough, I have to add an egg once in a while. I am not following someone's diet. I'm not following, it's the way I feel. Okay. So you have to be the master of your own self. Know what is your body accepting, when your body is not accepting, why you going vegan, why you going plant-based. One thing, I think you talked about it, you asked what is the benefits of having plant-based. I think let me see. I think I missed that point. Yeah, the benefits of vegan and plant-based. One, they're high in fiber because you're just eating plants. They
Right.
have a lot of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds. But here I have to be very, very careful when I'm talking about vegan and plant-based. I'm not talking about the American diet. I'm not talking about the processed food. We are talking, if you're really eating vegan, you're eating plant-based, you're really eating unprocessed food, because otherwise you're not going to get the much nutrients you need. So this diet, they also support health. It's people lose weight. It controls blood sugar, so your mostly diabetes are going to feel good in this diet. It has low cancer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Low cancer risk doesn't mean that vegans and plant-based don't get cancer, but they have low risk of getting cancer. Okay.
I think it's safe to say I'll stick to the Mediterranean diet.
And also, well, it's they reduce the environmental footprints. That's the way it comes with eating a lot of. Everyone is eating meat morning to the evening. It's not a good thing because it's really polluting the place, and We have seen the the cut of the trees and all that. So it has its own benefits. I
Mhm.
have felt the benefits of eating plants, and especially when you're in a whole plant diet. So you
Mhm.
don't have um, I don't want to say you don't have any processed food, because when you get a wheat, it's already processed. But what I'm saying is, if I say buy buckwheat, for example, or buy rice, and I come and put it in my blender and I get flour from that, I processed it. Okay. But
Right.
let's say it's not highly processed. You're not getting this junk food. So you're eating and you're minding what you're doing to yourself and to the planet. That is for the vegan part, but for the plant-based, that's also what it comes with. It's you feel much lighter, okay, because you're digesting. Um, you I think we feel much lighter because animal proteins demands a lot of digestion.
Right.
So in the plant-based, you feel that digestion is eased out. But I found I have yet to find scientific that is reading me there direct. Seems like eating vegan and plant-based diet exclusively also reduces the amount of stomach acid, because I don't know why. I don't
Right.
know really if that science is validated, but I have heard doctors say talking. I've read a paper or two talking about it. But there is what science can say, and there is also logic, because the the stomach acid is not there because we are eating meat. It's there because it's supposed to protect us from outside.
Right. I got to be
Yeah.
honest, man. Once I haven't eaten red meat in over 5 years.
Hmm.
Completely different feeling,
Yeah.
you know, and whatnot. And every now and again when I did it over those 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
feel awful.
Yeah, it can be demanding, too much demanding to process. Like when
Yeah.
you eat the food, whether you're eating the plants or the meat, but the protein itself, it comes as a protein, but those are a lot of amino acids that are there. And the body has to unfold those amino acids to a single amino acid. So it demands a lot of work. Like I think it takes about 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours to really digest meat, for example. I
Meat,
guess.
right,
Yeah, it takes that much. So if you don't have enough of stomach acid, it's even going to be much harder. And knowing that stomach acid reduces as we grow, we age. That's why, for example, old people don't really take proteins, because it sits on them, because it's going to
right.
really sit there. If you're not digesting it, it's going to stay there because you don't have any acid to break it. So knowing where you are with your stomach acid can help you to know, okay, fine, I can reduce animal products, or if I have to eat animal products, then what can I do to increase the the stomach acid?
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Well, we've come up on the hour here for the nutrition edition of Conversation with Trent,
Yeah,
featuring the lovely nutritionist coach Catherine Gatu. You guys
thank
could
you.
always catch us on Apple, Spotify, Taylor Kennedy TV, at taken.com, and all that good stuff. And also, Catherine has a new release published book there. Absolutely,
The best breakfast book. I don't know whether you can see it there.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, and I love it. Thank you for bringing that up.
Tell
Yeah,
folks where they
so
can get that at. Where they can get it.
in the Amazon, you get it from Amazon. It's in pretty different Amazon shops, so you can get it from your preferred Amazon. Um, get it and leave me a comment. I really worked hard, not hard. I don't like saying worked hard, but I
You,
I
you
I
know I was
love
getting ready to say something, right? Because last week you said something to me
yeah.
about sacrifice. So go ahead.
Yeah, I really put myself into it and I took joy having it and in writing and composing, cooking. Um, it's really a good book. It's really a good book, especially
Good
when you're
stuff.
looking for vegetable, I mean, for breakfast when you're suffering from diseases and you really want to heal your gut. Knowing what are the alternatives that you can get when you're not having gluten and or you can't eat oats, all those kind of stuff. You have oats here, but you get what I'm saying. It's really a nice book that will help you. And what I like about this, most of the breakfast here is like the one that you have here. I don't know when you can see that.
Yeah, we can see
Okay,
it. Mhm.
it's like once you have the ingredients, like you can buy the ingredients and you have them in the house for a month.
Mhm.
Like my daughter, she's 12 and I think since she's 8 I don't make her breakfast because she has the stuff there. She goes there, she mixes the powder she want to mix and she has her breakfast and she doesn't have any what can I say, quote unquote, they're not high carbs. These are really um breakfasts that are going to make you feel full for hours. They are
Right.
more high in proteins.
And Catherine also has a very informative blog that she does on foodandheal.com. If you guys see on the screen, I placed it
Thank
on the
you.
screen there,
Thank you.
foodandheal.com.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
informative.
Thank you. Thank you. When you eat food, you heal. That's what it really comes from.
Good stuff. Good
The
stuff.
thank Yeah. And you
Good
you
stuff.
have takekini.com.
TakeKen.com. That's where they could catch the podcast. They can get the medical fitness paraphernalia on there where I do my daily workouts and whatnot, dealing with this recovery from the bleed on the brain and the stroke. Um, I'm actually an advocate for stroke, and I actually have a book out. I actually wrote it while
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
this recovery called The Recovery. So it's available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, um, anywhere books are sold. Anywhere books are sold. The recovery book. It focuses on support system, have the importance of having a support system. Everything about stroke, bleed on the brain is within that book. So the
That's
recovery book,
beautiful.
the recovery book.
Recovery
So
book.
good stuff. Good
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
So as
So
we mentioned last week, we'll be podcast and nutrition edition of the conversation every week. Now we used to do it twice a month. So Catherine wanted to get in and do it weekly.
yeah.
So we're
So yeah.
available
So I'll
week.
be here. Mm. Post the
Go ahead.
questions. Post questions. What would you like to hear? What do you want to learn? What do you want us to talk about? I'd love to hear people suggesting. It would be great. I'd also
Good
give
stuff.
reviews and like, and because when you like and you're active, it also helps the YouTube things channels to go up. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate that. We appreciate.
Good
Okay.
stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So until
So
next Thursday, go ahead.
let me just conclude this. So we were
Go ahead.
looking at the nutrients in vegan and plant based, and so you really have to be nailed down. Go down and see what are you eating and what could you be missing, and supplement that. Don't well, for those who are vegan and strict vegan, that's something else. Really, you need to supplement yourself. The other people, if it's just because of what the other people are going to say, you really have to get out of it. Okay, it's about your health, and there is nothing worse than when you're feeling pain and you can help yourself just because you're going by the society stuff. So supplement yourself, learn where you can do that. I never liked when I hear these doctors saying go plant-based is the best diet. It is the best diet for some people. If you're suffering from have gut issues and you can't absorb nutrients properly, I won't tell you go plant-based. I'll tell you go plant-based if they can help you heal, because you're going to remove that overload from the meat digestion and all that, but you're going to lack some nutrients. So how do you add those nutrients? I don't think it's expensive to buy the supplement than to buy meat, okay? Because meat, you might have a kilo of meat maybe for 20 euros, and those 20 euros you're going just to eat maybe for 2 days or 3 days. But when you have the supplement, you can have that for a long time, okay? So listen to yourself, and don't let yourself be imprisoned by the dogmas. That's what I really want to talk about. Don't just be told plant-based is good without knowing what nutrients, where you're going to get your supplements from.
Exactly. Pretty much what's best for you. And I actually
Yeah.
live by that. Actually, even after having the stroke and what have you, everything that I've learned through this process was through
Yeah.
my own research. Yeah, I have
Mhm.
doctors, neurologists, and all this other stuff, but I found that I started getting on the better side of this recovery through my
Mm.
own research. What's best for
Mm.
me.
Yeah.
So I totally
The
agree with
only
you.
Exactly. But what I fear is when we err and people are just maybe there watching stuff and just taking that things that people are saying without questioning it. And maybe some people, I always think, like, what about someone who is far in the other south part of Kenya, for example, north south, I don't know, but someone who doesn't have internet, or someone who always have this time to come to the internet through listening to social media, and they don't have that time or knowledge to say, okay, I'll sit down, because this requires time, right?
Yeah,
To
it
go and
does.
read all the scientific research, you really have to go down and sit down. And so you hear someone says go plant-based, and you see them, they are doing plant-based stuff. And especially, and I'm very annoyed with that, is especially people who live in industrialized countries. Because someone who is in America, they have tons of nutrients. I mean, you guys, we can see from the population, you overeating because there is a lot, right? Now, if I
Absolutely.
tell the same person who is struggling in a place where there is drought, famine, that you have to go plant-based, I'm sorry, we are not talking to the same people.
Right.
So you know where you are. You know where you are. If your country, if your religion, if your, I mean, not religion, but if your background environment can't allow you to go plant-based, don't do it.
Do it. Correct.
Don't do it. You have to have a lot of knowledge and have variety of plants so that you can get to have these nutrients. B12, for
Exactly.
example, you can't get it I mean, if I were in Kenya and we are not eating meat, or we are not taking eggs, there's no way you're getting that B12 from.
Exactly. In other words,
So
do what's best for you.
do what is best for you, really. And if you can't learn, it's always good to ask questions. I mean, if you
Absolutely.
can't go doing the research, ask the questions. Don't just follow. Because what also I noticed, because I was like, how come, and that's another diet, there are people who survive, who talk about living in fruits only.
Hmm.
And when you look at the fruits, they don't give you as much nutrients. So how do they make that? But they will never tell you what do they supplement themselves with.
Exactly. We got
So
to be
we can
mindful who we
just,
listen to when we getting information for our health and our well-being. So we got to be mindful of that.
yeah, you have to be very mindful. And there are also people who can go into a diet, but because they really embodied that diet, like this is the way I live this, and then they start getting sick and they get out of the diet, but they will never say they got out of it.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so we really have to be very careful. Be careful.
Good stuff. And as always, you can catch us again on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Kennedy TV, All good stuff at taken.com. Good stuff. You can catch Catherine and the wonderful blogs. How often do you do the blogs? Do you
Now
release
I
them?
do, there was a time it was religiously every 1 week, but and every week I used to do it. Now, like I have a lot of things doing. I have coaching. I have the books,
Right,
and yeah, I can't be everywhere. And also, like there was a time when I started the blogging, I was waking up at 3 o'clock. So
right.
because I had to have my life to do things, and I have the kids. Now my kids are growing, but I also have to be I have to live. Okay, I don't want to give myself. I have to enjoy what I'm doing, and for
Exactly.
that I slowed down. So I would say sometimes I can, let me say, maybe every 2 weeks. And I
Hmm.
also picked more into bringing knowledge than the recipes, because mostly when I started, it was only recipes and articles here and there. But now I'm more into creating content that is going to be informative, to bring the articles like the one that we're doing here, the last ones I did last time.
Right.
So bringing the knowledge, and yeah, it's a bit complicated. I would like to do, because I really love creating my recipes. I can't tell you, there is even my kids, they tell me, "There is that the recipe that you did, it was so good. Can't you do it again?" I rarely do a recipe twice unless it's for the blog. Most of the time I'm always creating. Like I don't know what is in the house to cook, but I'm going to look like that. I'm just putting things out and said, that was good.
Right.
Sometimes I hear, did you keep the recipe? I said, no, I didn't write the recipe, so I can't reproduce the same thing. Creating recipes, I really love it. I love it. And yeah, something that I have to really come back to it quite often.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we
Mm,
appreciate you, Catherine. I'll be back on Sunday with the ladies here in the States.
mm.
We're talking about situationships. It's going to be part two of situationships
What does that
on
mean?
Sunday. It's like a situationship is when you're not committed to the relationship and
Okay.
you just have a situationship.
And what kind of a relationship are we not committed to?
Marriage, just not committed to the relationship as a whole.
Why should
So
you be in something that you're not getting committed to?
a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are doing it.
I-
Think about
it's
it.
not,
Think,
it's
think
not
about it. Now
think
think
about.
about it.
Yeah.
Situationships. When I say situationships, I mean in
Mm,
like if let's just say for instance, I'm in a relationship with someone, but I'm really
mhm.
not in a relationship because I'm not committed. So it's more physical
Does
than anything.
the other person know that you're not committed?
In some cases, they don't.
So why would you do that to someone?
That's my point. That's why we talk about the importance of being honest with the person going into any relationship. So, but that goes. Let's be honest, man. It
Okay.
happens. It
It
happens.
happened.
It
Okay.
definitely happens, and sometimes it
Mm.
happens without the knowledge of the person who think they're in a relationship when they really are in a situationship. Get it?
Okay. That goes back to what I sometimes, my daughter had few problems with relationships with other kids.
Hmm.
And I always used to tell her, to remind her the song, some people want to be misused and others want to misuse you.
Exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole
It's
point
like,
for that
so
situationship. Yeah,
yeah, you have to know which camp you are. Do you want to be
exactly.
misused, and
You
so
get it.
you get there. Yeah, but it's really
You,
interesting.
you you'd be quite surprised on part one.
Hmm.
There were a ton of young ladies here in the States.
Hmm.
They were actually accepting situationships because their options are limited. And I'm like, wow, that's a huge
What
red
is
flag.
what is limited?
Meaning that there's not a lot of guys available for them to choose from. To
That's once again it's where we come to, wow, I hope people are not going to get me mixed up, but those are beliefs, and those is what you have to work with. If you tell yourself there are no enough good men outside there, you went with that mindset. I talk to my daughter all the time. Remember, it's not about other person, what that person did, but what did you do that that person did that thing to you? What did you accept? What are you accepting? What are you allowing?
my
If you
point.
allow, if you allow yourself to be misused, don't complain. There are guys out there who are very good and can be good with you, but you went there with a scarcity mindset that there is no good person for you.
Now,
And so
now, fo-
now you ask the universe gives you what you ask.
so now for my viewers in the U.S. Now,
Mhm.
I say the same thing that Catherine says. You just said it a little more eloquently. So I get darts thrown at me because I say the things that you say.
Really?
But that's what it is. That's what it is. You have to be mindful, man, and what you accept, you have to take responsibility for the
For
toxic you bring
sure.
to your own party.
For sure, for sure. But there is where maybe there is what we can call this, the the dependence. You depend on a relationship because you're empty inside. Okay.
Exactly.
Um, quote unquote, I grew up with a mother who didn't love me, and I noticed that like I was 2.5 years old when I realized something is not okay here. Okay.
Right.
And so when I was growing up, I was always looking for people to love me,
Right.
but I was empty inside.
I
I
get
didn't
it.
know what is loving myself is. But since my mother didn't love me, I have to look for people who are loving me. And there is that dialogue as well goes. If the relationship didn't work, or sometimes things don't go the way I want, first, I've always been the first one to leave the relationship because I never wanted to be abandoned. Because I grew with the fear that I might be abandoned because my mother didn't love me. And so the question always used to be, if she didn't love me, who else can love me? And so I
Right.
always have to be on that edge of, so there are people who can be there, they haven't done their work within. And so they are expecting from other people. Okay. And so when they're being misused in that situationships, it's just because they haven't healed their own uh, inner child. They haven't done the healing to accept themselves and love themselves
Exactly.
because when they were young, they either were abused or they were not validated. And they
Exactly.
want people to validate them all the time.
So if you guys over in the UK or over in East Africa, I'm on here in the States at 7 on Sunday.
7 on Sunday.
7 on Sunday. 7 on Sunday. Sunday evening here in the States. So you can catch the
That is
rebroadcast on.
what 7 in the evening. That's what you're saying, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So
So
if they
on
can't catch
Sunday.
it live, they can catch it on a rebroadcast on Apple or Spotify or Telekinetic TV. So
Okay.
good stuff. Good
Maybe
stuff.
maybe I'll join. Maybe remind me. Maybe I might join and try to poke fingers.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
No, for sure. It's everyone should be responsible of themselves, and what you expect from others, you can't get it. If you don't expect, you do it to yourself.
And you said a
So
mouthful.
so you really
You
have
said
to
a
do your work. You do it your work there.
mouthful.
And yeah,
And when you do
that's
the work, when you do the work on yourself, it's so much more rewarding.
yeah, because like for me, there was a time like you're a young person, you're a young woman, and you hear men looking at you, and you say, everyone, men are telling you you're beautiful and all that. Fine. Today, okay, I wouldn't even want to hear it.
Right.
Why are you telling me? Okay, unless we are in a situation where you're allowing yourself to tell me that. There was a
Absolutely.
time like an old man would talk to me. And I was like, man, what did he see in me to think that he is my kind of a guy? I had to ask myself, what did he see in me that would he think that he can talk to me? He can allow himself to talk to me. That's when you get to who are you? You value yourself, right? You know what kind of a person is talking to you, be it a man, be it a woman. How is that person talking to you? How are you dealing with your relationships? How are you behaving with yourself? Because if you don't, like the other day I was with a kid, he did something and he said, "Oh, I'm so stupid." I was like, "Well, that's not a way to talk to yourself." I was like, "No, no, no, I'm not. I don't mean it." But they were like, "Yeah, but your brain doesn't know that you don't mean it." And if you think you didn't, your brain is registering that you're stupid. But here is also something. If I take that you told me that you're stupid, the next time you do something, I'll remind you. Remember, you told me that you're stupid, so I'll treat you like you're a stupid. So don't talk to yourself like you're stupid. Don't talk to yourself like you don't have value. Okay? Respect yourself first, because that's the way the other people are going to respect you.
Good stuff. So I got to get out of here.
Yeah, thank you.
All good, all good. So Catherine and I'll be back for another nutrition edition
Thursday.
On Thursday. So
yeah.
Any particular you want to tell them what you're going to be talking about?
I have no idea. I swear I have no idea. I will come up with something within the next few days. Well, I don't mean that I'm not organized, just because I have a lot of stuff sometimes that are going on. Yeah. And I go with the flow. So
there it is.
It would be good if people would send some
topic
suggestion.
ideas.
Yeah, suggestions like what would they want to learn? Because it would be good. I would love that. I would appreciate that. Answering questions that people are asking themselves. That would be wonderful.
Good stuff. So until next week.
Thank you.
Catherine,
thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. So
good
evening to France, and I'm going to start this day here in the States.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be that time. I also have to go out. Thank you so much, Trent, for letting this conversation take place.
Hey, like I told you, you're the boss. I'm just here pushing buttons.
If you say so.
Stop it.
Don't be misused. So thank you so much for letting this take place. I appreciate it. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Okay, talk to you on Thursday. I'll let you know let me know if there are any questions or any suggestions, and
sound good.
Till then, have a nice day.
Ciao.
Enjoy your day. Nice breakfast.
I definitely will. All right, we'll talk soon.
What did you say?
I said ciao, and we'll talk soon.
No, you say something in French. You tried to say something in French, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Okay,
no,
see you. Talk to you on Thursday.
Gotcha. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.